Our first guest will be questioning 3 of the Benghazi whistleblowers who are scheduled to testify tomorrow. Joining us now is Congressman James Lankford, a member of the House Oversight Committee. He also sits on the Budget Committee and chairs the House Republican Policy Committee. Congressman, thanks for being with us. I want to begin, if I may. We have just received an attempted refutation, if you will, by the Pentagon, saying the troops could not have been on the ground in Benghazi in time to stop the second attack or to mitigate it. And we'll be taking that up in some detail in this broadcast. But I'd like to get first your reaction to the Pentagon response, which was authored by the Assistant Secretary of Defense for Legislative Affairs.
Right. It's an interesting parsing of words on that, Lou. It's to say we couldn't get there in time for the second attack when there were really 3 attacks. It assumes they knew how many attacks there were going to be that night, right, and we can't get there in time, and so why go at all? That's not the way you do it. You know that your embassy or your facilities are under attack. You don't know what's happening next. You don't know how many people are there. You know your ambassador is missing at that time and not recovered, and how many assets you're going to need are unknown. So you send what you have as soon as you can to get there as fast as you can, and that's not what occurred.
And Congressman, we are learning that Gregory Hicks, the whistleblower, the number 2 envoy, in fact, in Libya, asserts that military assets that tried to respond to Benghazi were told to stand down, including a special operations team that was in Tripoli. Your thoughts on that?
Right. There was an argument about who had command and control of those individuals that were there and who could actually make the call. And so while they're debating on who can make the call, the plane has to go and actually try to get there and to be able to help people. The key thing about this is we had enough security in place just the month before, and State Department said you have too much security there, you don't need that much, and pulled them out, while Gregory Hicks, while the ambassador, while the regional security officer in Libya were all saying, we've got to have these people, please keep these people in place. And State Department in Washington said, no, you have too many people there, we're pulling them out. And so it's not a matter of who else could we have sent, we should have already had enough in place, and they were withdrawn.
I assume that you have been privy to the questioning of the principal witnesses throughout this, and I'm going to try to see if we can get your view as to whether or not you believe that there is compelling evidence, convincing evidence, that our forces were told to stand down and that those forces could have made a difference, particularly in saving the lives of the 2 CIA operatives, Tyrone Woods and Glenn Doherty.
Who knows whether they'd be able to protect, because we don't know. That's hindsight as we look back on it. I do believe there were either no contingency plans in place to be able to help protect individuals. There was no urgency to be able to step in and do that, whether that be military assets coming from Italy or whether that be coming from Africa. And I also firmly believe that there was confusion about who had control and who could actually send more people that were on the ground there. And so all that confusion in a rolling battle that was happening in Benghazi didn't help.
And the explanation by the administration in what has been effectively a curtain of silence that has descended around the entire administration on the issue of Benghazi. Stephen Hayes of the Weekly Standard reports that the initial draft of the CIA talking points on Benghazi for the purpose of the UN ambassador's appearances on Sunday talk shows a few days later. Hayes reports that Victoria Nuland, the senior spokesperson for the State Department, is linked to purging references to extremists in talking points, extremists being references to Al-Qaeda. Your reaction?
Right. Well, here are a couple of things that we know for certain at this point. One is the original intelligence piece that came out said, here's what occurred. Within 24 hours was dramatically changed. Now, the White House and State Department said, we're just saying what the intelligence community said. We now have what the intelligence community said. They said this was Al-Qaeda linked. They said these were Islamic extremists. They said this was a terrorist attack. They were very detailed. There were no comments about demonstrations or videos. Within 24 hours, that very clear long statement was cut in half. Islamic extremists was pulled out of it, Al-Qaeda was pulled out of it, terrorists was pulled out of it, and it was replaced with demonstrations in the middle of it, and everything changed. No one in Libya, let me be clear on this, no one on the ground in Libya thought that this was a demonstration based on a video or a demonstration at all. Everyone there from the very beginning thought this was a terrorist. So this line about demonstration was created in Washington. It definitely did not come out of Libya.
Congressman, we appreciate you being with us. Thank you so much. Congressman James Lankford. Much more.